I was this close to losing faith in XRP. I mean, after months of nothing but crickets in the price action, I thought maybe it is time to move on. But then I stumbled on a crazy price prediction. Some analysts are now saying that XRP could shoot up towards $37. Yeah, $37. Now, my first reaction was, yeah, right. But something told me to dig deeper though. And what I found? Well, it was enough to make me think twice about giving up. So, picture this. It's late at night. I'm scrolling through crypto tweets half asleep when a post about XRP catches my eye. Now, it's from a market analyst that I do respect, who goes by the name of EGRAG on X, and he's talking about XRP testing the faith of the bulls. And that got my attention, because honestly, right, my faith was, well, being tested. XRP's price has been flat or drifting for what feels like forever, and I know that I'm not the only one feeling restless here. So I started reading, and boom, EGRAG is predicting XRP could climb to somewhere between $10 and $37 this cycle. And yes, you heard that right. He's basically saying, hey, XRP might melt faces soon. His words, not mine. XRP will melt faces. That's a pretty bold claim, right? Well, I'm equal parts skeptical and intrigued here. And I mean, is this just pure hopium, or does he see something rather real? Well, in this video, I want to take you along on my little investigative journey here. I needed to know if there's actual substance behind these wild price targets, because if there is, then I do not want to be the guy who sold his XRP the week before a massive rally. Right, we are talking about what those analysts are seeing in the charts, how it weirdly lines up with some of the history of 2017. I mean, deja vu, anyone, right? And what it means for regular holders just like us. Anyone, who's holding XRP. Now, along the way here, I'm going to share a couple of rather interesting side quests that I've been on too, including some pretty cool projects that I've joined to quietly stack even more XRP over time, involving smartphones, and believe it or not, that's pretty crazy. And of course, I'm also going to share a limited time little potential to stack up some free XRP courtesy of a major exchange. No joke. And no, this isn't a scam or one of those airdrops on Twitter. No, they are of course totally fake. This one though is actually fully legitimate from a top crypto exchange. So stick around, because by the end of the story, you might just see XRP and your own game plan in a whole new light. All right, let's go ahead and set the stage here. XRP's great stall. Now, if you've held XRP for a while, you know exactly what I mean, because lately it's kind of like watching paint dry. Bitcoin's price is doing its thing, Ethereum is making a few moves here and there, some random meme coin or even Zcash is pumping and dumping, right? But XRP, just kind of sitting there in the corner, occasionally sighing. Now, I've been holding XRP through a lot of this sideways action. I won't lie, it has definitely tested my patience. Now, I'm sure some of you have felt the temptation to just throw in the towel and chase that latest shiny coin, right? Well, it's okay. We are all human. Now, I thought about it too. Should I just rotate out of XRP now? Am I missing opportunities elsewhere? And that little voice was getting louder every day that XRP stayed under like $3. Then comes the fateful night on X. Those people are still calling it Twitter, myself including, even though Elon's determined to rebrand it. But, I see posts from EGRAG, and he's one of those analysts with a decent following. Not a random moon boy per se, but someone who uses actual charts and data. Now, he says something along the lines of XRP being at least in a giant descending triangle pattern for the past few months, and right now it's sitting at the base of that triangle. Now, normally descending triangles, that sounds kind of bearish, right? Lower highs compressing down. Usually they actually break downwards, right? But EGRAG's take was slightly different, right? He pointed out a historical pattern. He actually called it a white, green, blue candle, right? Style kind of thing. What basically happened in 2017 and again in 2021, right? And each time it's happened, XRP basically lulled everyone into a sleep, tested their faith, and then boom, a massive breakout. Like face melting breakout. Again, his colorful terminology, not mine. So let's rewind to 2017 for just a second then, because I want to see if this guy's onto something or whether he has just inhaling way too much hopium. So back in 2017, XRP was chilling under 10 cents. It was something like 0.097 to be exact, right? Nothing exciting was happening. Just another altcoin not doing much, until it suddenly did. Right? Over the next 3 months or so, heading into early 2018, XRP had rocketed to its all-time high of about $3.84. Now, can you just imagine? From under 10 cents to almost $4, right? I remember hearing the stories of people becoming millionaires off of a few $1,000 investments, right? Now, it was that crazy back then. Then you can fast forward to 2021. It was another bullish year. XRP wasn't as explosive that time around, but it still went from about 45 cents to about $1.90 in just a matter of maybe a couple of months. Again, huge gains, short window, after a long period of, well, nothingness. EGRAG's theory is that we're actually in that calm before the storm phrase once again. Now, XRP around the mid $2 range at the moment. It was about $2.46 when he posted on Twitter. And it's been drifting so much since then that some of the long-term bulls are, well, just getting bored and a bit anxious. And exactly the kind of environment that he says where XRP historically has pulled off a surprise rally. Now, according to this analysis by EGRAG, he could see a 306% surge on the low end, which would put XRP around $10, to as much as a 1,404% surge, and yes, very specific I know, which means roughly $37. Now, when I read all of that, I had to do a bit of a double take, because $37 XRP, that kind of sounds nuts. I know, right? Now, my rational brain was like, okay, sure, buddy, and I am the Queen of England. But then, he also mentioned that it tends to happen pretty fast, within 4 to 6 weeks once it all gets going. Now, he basically implied that if XRP is going to make a move, it's going to move so quick that it's going to leave all the doubters in the dust, scrambling to FOMO back in. Now, XRP, as he says, will melt faces. EGRAG's boldly declared that so. Now, you gotta love the dramatic flair there, I'm sure. Now, I actually kind of pictured that meme of people's faces literally melting like a cartoon, right? It's extreme, very extreme, but it kind of gets the point across. He expects a shocking blink of the eye and you miss it kind of upswing. Now, EGRAG wasn't the only one sounding the trumpet here. Another analyst who goes by the name of ChartNerdTA, great name I know, right? He also chimed in, essentially backing up EGRAG's analysis. Now, ChartNerd posted XRP is busy testing bull's faith. And, I shared the same kind of chart outlook here. At least, this kind of point is sitting right up there, at least makes me sit up a little bit straighter, I should say, because when two independent analysts that I do follow happen to agree on something like this, you know what? I do pay attention. It kind of felt like a little bit like catching two weather forecasters both predicting a massive storm while the sky still looks pretty clear. You either get yourself ready or you ignore them at your own risk, right? Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that this is guaranteed to happen, right? Nothing in crypto or life is guaranteed. Except maybe trolls on your Twitter replies, of course. That's pretty much a given, and down in the comment section here too. But it's fascinating to see those seasoned chart watchers basically saying, don't fall asleep on XRP now. This is the final shakeout to test the faith before an eruption, right? Now, if you think about it, it's almost poetic. How many times in stories or movies do things look dire right before the triumphant comeback? XRP's price action right now is like that classic darkest before dawn kind of trope, and if those guys are right. So, before I go on here, I do need to drop a crucial disclaimer so that the YouTube overlords, and of course my conscience, are satisfied. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right, so I'm glad that we got that out of the way, because when we start throwing around some numbers like $10, $37, or heaven forbid, $1,000, it can get a little bit crazy, can't it? Now, speaking of $1,000, yes, there are some people in the crypto community that genuinely do believe that XRP could hit $1,000. Now, I've seen those posts too. Usually they're accompanied by a rocket emoji or two, and some rather wishful thinking. Now, well, interestingly, even one of those bullish experts, if you will, that I mentioned earlier, pumped the brakes on that one too. You had Dave Wissenberger, the former chairman of CoinRoots. A guy knows his stuff, right? Now, basically, he called the $1,000 XRP target absurd. And, I'm kind of with him. I mean, never say never, of course, but at least in this cycle, it is kind of beyond unrealistic, right? So, hearing $37, while that sounds extreme compared to today's price, is actually rather moderate compared to the most outrageous predictions that are out there. Now, there was also buzz in the XRP community about factors that could push XRP towards $15 to $20 range if a certain US crypto market bill passes. This is kind of like the universe is lining up multiple different scenarios where XRP could indeed take off. Better regulations, bullish chart patterns, you kind of name it, right? But again, none of this means that it's going to happen, just that it could potentially happen, theoretically, right? And for me, that was enough to say, all right, I am listening. What do I need to do if any of this even remotely is on the table? So here is my personal strategy and how it kind of kicks in here. First off, I'm holding on to my XRP. There is no, at least that is a bit of a no-brainer for me, right? Now, I didn't weather all of this boring stretch just to chicken out right before the potential big bang, right? No, that's not me. So if XRP truly is testing my faith, guess what? I'm going to pass that test. Diamond hands modes activated, at least for my core holdings anyway, right? But holding is just one part of the strategy. I also want to be prepared to maximize the opportunity should things really truly heat up. You see, one thing that I've learned, sometimes the hard way, is that when markets get crazy, exchanges get bogged down or even freeze on up. So we've seen in the past rallies, right? Everyone suddenly wants to buy or to cash out, and some platforms just crash or lock their withdrawals. Nightmare scenario if you're trying to take some profits or move funds quickly. So that's why I've always been an advocate for having multiple exchange accounts set up and verified. Basically, have a plan A, plan B, plan C. Now, in my case, I've got accounts on all of the major exchanges and even some of the smaller ones too. For example, I use Kraken, more on them in a second, Binance, Coinbase, and some that you might not expect, like LBank, Blowfin, and BitGet. Now, those last couple, of course, are smaller exchanges that I actually use quite recently and quite frequently. And yes, full disclosure, I have a link in the description to my website where I list all of the exchanges that I do personally use, and those links to those exchanges are affiliate links, which means if you use those links to sign up to those exchanges, then it actually supports the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. And I mention this because I would like to say a big thank you to anyone who does go over to the website and uses those links. It really does mean an awful lot to us here at the channel. Anyway, the point is this. If one exchange goes down or suspends XRP trading due to overload, I have alternatives at the ready. Now, I cannot stress this enough. In a bull frenzy, you do not want all of your eggs in one basket or all of your XRP on one platform. Now, let's talk about free XRP that most recently has cropped up. And I mean, who doesn't love free XRP, right? Or free crypto for that matter. Now, this is legit. It is not a scam. Okay, so you remember the disclaimer earlier. Now, what's going on here is I have recently partnered up with Kraken. And yes, that is the Kraken crypto exchange that's been around for almost a decade, or over a decade, in fact. And they have this limited time offer that is awesome, right? Because it's something that I wish I had when I first started. Now, the deal is this. You use the link that I've put in the description down below to sign up to Kraken's crypto exchange. You set up an account there, and you trade at least $100 worth of any cryptocurrency, excluding stablecoins, within 30 days. Kraken will drop you $25 of XRP into your new account. Yes, basically $25 of XRP for free as a thank you for joining the Kraken exchange. Now, on top of that, whenever you kind of bought with your, well, at least whatever you bought with your $100, because this is a spot buy, that could be Bitcoin, Ethereum, heck, It could be $100 of XRP. It doesn't really matter as long as it is not a stablecoin. And as soon as you hit that $100 worth of trading volume, boom, you're going to get $25 in XRP. It is a very sweet way to stack a little bit more extra XRP on the side if you ask me, and also a great reason to add Kraken to your exchange roster. Now, Kraken is a solid exchange in my experience. They've been around for a very long time and they have a great reputation, and now they're literally giving out XRP to encourage people to actually jump on in. Just remember that this is a limited time deal. You can find all the details and the sign up link in the description down below. The terms and conditions are also linked down below as well. And it's very important that you do know all of the nitty-gritty details there. For example, you do have to complete a $100 trade within 30 days of signing up. Free XRP. And of course, you need to also make sure that you're in the eligible jurisdiction, because not all jurisdictions around the world are going to be eligible for this particular promotion. So make sure you read the full terms and conditions. It's also worth noting that this is something that Kraken is doing, and it's a promotion brought to you by Kraken and is not affiliated with YouTube or the channel in any other way. So this is a win-win in my book, right? Because you get some free XRP and you get an exchange account as a backup. Now, by the way, just a heads up, the link in the description, that's also an affiliate link, which means it supports the channel here too, and it is very much appreciated. All right, so aside from holding and setting up exchange backups, what else am I doing whilst I'm waiting for this potential XRP explosion then? Well, this is where a little side quest comes in, right? The one that's involving smartphones and a project called Unity. Now, I've mentioned Unity in a whole bunch of previous videos, so OG viewers, you're going to recognize this one. Now, for everyone else, here is a quick rundown. Unity Nodes is a kind of project that's been brought to you by World Mobile and Minutes Network. It's like the two of those projects had a baby and they called it Unity. And it's where you would use smartphones or other devices like tablets to support a decentralized telecoms network. And in return, you earn crypto rewards. So it's kind of like mining or staking, but instead of any fancy kind of ASIC machines that you're using or locking up a whole ton of coins, you're basically running an application on your smartphone. And basically what you're doing is verification checks on the call quality and the cell signal within your local area. And basically you're getting rewarded in crypto for your contribution with all of that data. It sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? A good way to put devices to work and earn more passive income in crypto. Anyway, I did go ahead and buy a Unity Node NFT, which basically lets me run up to 200 devices on the network. Now, I'm not going crazy setting up 200 phones all at once. That would be crazy, right? I'm crazy, but not that crazy. I'm starting off small with 10 phones to see how it all works in practice and make sure it all runs smoothly. If all works well and the returns are as advertised on their website, then I'm going to consider scaling things up gradually. The neat part is you can set up your Unity node and choose to be paid in different cryptocurrencies. I'm going to choose my rewards in things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, and of course XRP, right? Because if you can earn a little bit more XRP passively on the side, why not, right? No, it's kind of like staking, but without actually having to give up any of my own XRP. I'm just contributing to this telecoms network, and they pay me an XRP among many other coins. Now, over time, this thing pans out, it could be a great way to accumulate a significant amount of XRP without constantly having to dip into my bank account to buy more at the market prices. Now, to be totally clear here, I'm not shilling this as the next get-rich-quick scheme. No, that's not this, right? This is an experiment for me, and there are many risks that go with this and lots of unknowns with any new project. I'm just a curious guy, so I like testing things like this out, but you've got to do your own research if it piques your own interest. I'm going to put some links in the description down below to Unity's light paper, their rewards calculator, so you can read up on all of the details for yourself. You're going to want to see all these details, what kind of rewards to expect, any requirements, etc., before you even think about jumping in. And hey, if you are interested in Unity but don't want to purchase the full node for yourself and have to deal with 200 licenses, well, I've got something for you too, because I did buy a couple extra nodes and my plan is to lease those licenses out to members of our community. That way people can basically join Unity without kind of having to deal with 200 devices or managing 200 devices for themselves. Kind of like sharing the resources and splitting the rewards, right? I'm going to have more information about this all in our Discord, so the link for that is in the description down below, and you can learn about how all of that works too. So definitely hop into the Discord if you want to discuss this or have more questions. It is a free educational community, of course, and we're always learning as we go. Okay, let's back up to XRP's big picture to wrap this story up then, because after soaking in all of this information, the analyst predictions, the historical parallels, my own plans to hold and accumulate, I had a bit of an epiphany here. I remembered why I got into XRP in the first place. And it wasn't for overnight gains, nor because someone guaranteed me some Lamborghini by next Tuesday. No, right? It was because I saw the technology that could genuinely revolutionize parts of finance, cross-border payments and all of that stuff. And mainly because I'd witnessed how XRP has these moments where it defies everyone's expectations. I let myself forget that for a moment during the kind of really boring moments of the price action. I almost became the very thing that EGRAG warned about, a bull who lost faith right before the miracle. Now, maybe XRP will not hit $37. Maybe it won't hit $10 this cycle. Let's be realistic, right? Because even $10 would be a pretty huge deal in itself, and there are plenty of challenges ahead. Market conditions, regulatory stuff, you kind of name it. But the possibility of a big move is actually on the table here, and I want to be ready for it rather than just being caught off guard. That means having my accounts ready, having my strategy ready, and of course having my mindset ready. No more second guessing every little kind of price dip. If a dip comes, I will just see that as a potential opportunity, within reason, rather than a sign of doom. The big takeaway here is about patience and preparation. This whole journey of digging into the $37 prediction, testing out Unity nodes, and partnering with exchanges, it all comes down to staying prepared and thinking ahead. In crypto, fortunes can change in a heartbeat. Today's boredom can be tomorrow's mania. The worst position to actually be in right now is being unprepared, right? Whether that is selling all of your XRP right before a rally, or having no exit plan when things go parabolic, or missing out on a chance to grow your stack through something like the Kraken promo or a tech experiment like Unity. I am treating this moment a bit like a wake-up call. Maybe XRP is indeed coiling up for a big move. Maybe it isn't. But if it is, and it's a big if, right? But I have to ask myself, am I ready here, right? Thanks to this little adventure, I can say that I'm more ready now than I was maybe a couple of months ago. My faith in XRP's potential is renewed, right? It's tempered with realism, of course, and I've got some extra irons in the fire to potentially boost my gains if things play out well. So, what about you? Is your faith being tested too? Are you going to stick it out and see if these big predictions come true? Now, I cannot decide that for you. All I can do is share my story and hope that it helps you make your own plan. Whatever happens in the next few weeks or months, one thing is for sure, it's never a dull moment in crypto land. And I, for one, am buckled in for the ride, what least come what may. Now, if you found this video helpful or at least entertaining, you can do me a favor by hitting the like button and the subscribe button and joining me on this wild XRP journey. Stay tuned, stay safe, and I will catch you in the next one.